Hang on a sec, let me just put this in your ear.
Right, good evening, everyone, councillors, officers, members of the press and members of the public. It's nice to see so many of you here today. So welcome to this meeting of the Finance Strategy and Management Committee. We have quite a full agenda tonight, so I will try and chair in the style of our mayor, who's renowned for the speed of her meetings. And the effects of item number 1, apologies for absence.
We have apologies from the Mayor, Councillor Hinton and Councillor.
Right, thank you. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? Councillor Hunt.
Other registered interest in item 10.
Yeah. Are there any others? Okay, thank you. We now come to public participation, and I'm going to take a wild guess that we're here to talk about the grants. I said the just section item 7 on the minutes, but let's take other questions first, and then we'll come to grants. For the second half of the participation. So, any more question that's not about grants or point? Gentleman at the back.
Richard Guy, New Street. Firstly, on the 12th of September, I raised a question of a jetty operated by Sorbonne on Council Land at Singers Wharf. It was resolved that you would investigate a valuation and negotiate a rent or a fee. I've not seen anything since. I don't think anyone can update me with anything. Secondly, I see that you've managed to register land at Friday Street Slip. I wonder if you've also managed to register your land at Singers Wharf. And the third question really is Sorbonne are continuing to operate there in contradiction of the license, the UA license. The jetty they built on Friday Street Slipway immediately skews to the north onto the land that I presume is the riparian ownership of the council. They've got lock gates, which they're not supposed to have. Public are supposed to be able to access the free, and they've marked their jetties private. Again, they should not do it. And incidentally, of course, your jetties down the Thames River are also marked private, which I don't think you're supposed to do. So those are the sort of 3 issues, I think. Yes. What's happened to the jetty? Have you managed to register the land at Singers Wharf? And what is your attitude to the continued breaches of the licence?
Thank you for your continued your persistence on these matters. We do appreciate being scrutinised. And the Town Clerk, I'm sure, will have some answers for you. Some items are still obviously going to be in confidential, and therefore they're limited to what we can say in public, where there are legal negotiations, for example, if there were. So we'll try and be as open as we can about what's happening in response to your question, which are all very sensitive ones.
Thank you. So your question about the unauthorised jetty opposite Singers Park, that is ongoing. It is due to be discussed this evening in confidential for reasons of commercial sensitivity. But it is, I can assure you, it is progressing, even though I appreciate we can't give you more information, which I realise might be a bit frustrating, but it is progressing. We're also aware that the Sorbonne jetties are locked and marked private as well. And that is something that we are also intending to raise with the Environment Agency. With the council's own jetties at River Terrace, this point was raised back in 2019, I think by yourself, in fact. I think within a month we removed them and removed the sign that says they're private. I think we covered over where it said private mooring. If there are any that you still think are in contravention, do let me know, and we can get that sorted. That's no problem. On the slipway, yes, it's fantastic. After a 2-year battle with Land Registry, we were able to register the Friday Street slipway, and it was quite a battle to get that done. I'm certainly very happy to look into whether or not Sorbonne's other jetty is encroaching onto that land as well.
Okay, thank you, Town Clerk.
Oh, apologies, there was one more that you mentioned about had we managed to register Singers Park. So it was registered a few years ago. I can't remember exactly when. I think 2012-ish or so, or maybe 2010. And at the time, the legal advice was that it would be more problematic to try and register the public right of way which goes through Singers Park. So at that time, it was agreed that we would only pursue registering 2 parcels of Singers Park. So when you look at the title deeds, it's in 2 separate parcels. I believe the current advice is that we could look at registering the whole of it. However, as we've seen with the Friday Street slipway, which took 2 years, it is by no means a quick process with land registry, and it is probably slightly more, even more complicated than Friday Street slipway, but it is something that we're investigating as well.
Thank you, Town Clerk.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions that don't relate to the item 7, the grants? Okay, so would anyone like to speak? And if so, please put your hand up, and I'll let you speak on behalf of your organisation, your application. Who's first? No one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, the gentleman in the front now.
Sorry, yeah. Please, allow me.
I'll come to you in a moment.
My name is Ed Milner. I volunteer, I beg your pardon, for Learning Rescue Oxfordshire. We're a search and rescue organisation affiliated to the rest of the country. There are about 36 teams in the UK, which we provide search and rescue facilities to mainly the police and the fire service, but also to local resilience forums like the Oxfordshire County Council, etc. We're actually expanding quite rapidly at the moment because we're seeing quite an increase in our taskings that we get in from the organisations at the moment. And one of those requirements for that is to keep our equipment up to date in the necessary manner. And we're applying for a grant to yourselves to enhance our communication capability. We obviously are very reliant upon radio comms, and we tend to try and work on the basis of a 2-to-1 radio ratio to our teams for health and safety, for public safety, etc. And our team is expanding at the moment from about, at the moment, 56 operational people to taking it up to 70 in the very near future. And in order to do that, I need to increase our communications capability, etc. So that's our main thing at the moment. We're also working on some quite aging equipment. So we have a sort of 10-year strategy of how long our equipment lasts. And some of our equipment is coming to that sort of financial and equipment aging point at that stage.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you for your application. Would anyone else like to speak? I think you were next.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Naomi Taylor. I'm from Chiltern Arts. We run an annual music and arts festival. We've been running for the last 7 years, consecutively, including the 2 COVID years. Running music and arts events throughout the Chilterns, and each year presenting something in Henley. This year, for the first time, we're spending 2 full days in Henley, which we're really excited about, encouraging people to come and spend a bit more time here in this lovely town. We're also launching a new initiative for outreach, focusing on inspiring a new generation of audiences, earmarking 30 seats per concert for young people between the ages of 9 and 14, and also offering free tickets to under 16s attending Learning Adults. The grant that we've applied to the council for will help to support this initiative and allow us to deliver concerts for young people as well as our regular audience.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Gentleman at the back.
I'm Ian Tritton. I'm representing the Deafly Disabled, an event that's held on the first Saturday after August Bank Holiday every year. We put a bid in for money to renew our webpage, which is now 14 years old, as is the regatta. I'm tempted to use the word unique, but certainly it's one of very few organisations and events where disabled people can do the same, participate in the same activities as their able-bodied friends and family, such as paddling a boat, going on boat trips, even going up a climbing wall. It's very well supported every year by a lot of regulars from a lot of local disabled organisations and special needs schools, as well as we see new visitors every year as well. And they come from fairly far and wide. Bedford. We've had people from Bedford. We've certainly had people from West London. So that's a very short description of Regatta Disabled. Thank you.
Can I just ask one specific question, while you're there, which is that you're asking this to your website. You haven't got a quote or a cost for the website yet, but you've asked for, I think, £1,450. Is that right? Is that, do you have a quote and so you know that that is the amount you need, or are you still at the point where you're looking for quotes? Because you're about going live in May, I think.
Yes.
You do have a quote,
We have a quote,
right?
and we are about to appoint a webmaster. That is exactly what part of the.
Okay, thank you. I didn't see that in the application, but thank you for clarifying that. Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to speak on behalf of the organization? Gentleman on my left here.
Thank you. I'm Andy Trotman, and I'm with Claire Knott here, and Holly Mothersole has abandoned me for a moment. We're here to speak about the illuminated boat parade. I am, first of all, to apologise for the absence of the people who are the inspirations of it, really, which is Chris Taylor and Penny Palmano. They can't be here today, as Penny's having her last treatment today. But they do send the messages, say that they had organised and paid for the whole of the starting illuminated parade in 2022. And then last year, a number of friends contributed, and we ran an auction and a private party which will raise some money for it. So we worked very hard to raise funds ourselves, as you last year indicated we should. I think it's a very, well, an event I think we probably all know about. Does anybody not know about this parade? And there are certain things that we would really need to do to enhance it. One of them is the lighting of the boats on the water. And I suppose it has a safety element about it as well. We're fine with all the lands, you know, we illuminate the facades of all the buildings right the way down to Phyllis Court. And we have sound systems going all the way down there as well. So we think that 2,000 people attended the first year. I think we went up to 3,000 this last year. Seems a lot busier. We use Leander Club to host it, and we have there are various collections made, and the 3 charities we supported, they all received £1,000 at least from the amount that was raised by some people with buckets and other donations. So we have got needs for a new sound system, much improved one, and for more lighting. That's primary where we will go. But it's you'll be very kind. And last year I was reminded by the mayor at the time. I should have mentioned that when I first, and the only other time I ever appeared before your committee was when I came with Jonathan Hobbs to suggest a Henley Literary Festival. And that's been very successful. I think this shows signs of being equally successful, albeit not in a commercial manner. We really like your support to continue, if you may. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that this is a relatively new event. It's already well established in the Henley calendar, and thank you for everyone who's been working on that. Are there any other organisations who'd like to speak? Okay, right. So I think we're done then. Okay, so that was item number 3, public participation. And was there someone?
Yeah, sorry. I just don't know whether, sorry, I didn't get your name, but if you want to say.
Not really, no, we're only here really in case somebody else wanted to raise a question and you needed some feedback.
Okay,
Okay.
Okay.
Fine.
thank you.
So the grants will be considered as item 7 in the agenda. I suggest bringing it forward after between items 4 and 5 with the permission of the committee. So the audience, everyone happy with that? Okay, right, thank you. So let's quickly go through the minutes for approval to approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 30th of January. Councillor Thomas, Councillor Ram seconding, all those in favour? Okay, thank you. And secondly, to approve the recommendation therein with the notes of the 353, 357 Reading Road Working Group. We have the deputy clerk in the audience. Is there anything that you need to add to that at this point? Okay, thank you. The proposal, yes. Seconder, okay, all those in favour? Thank you. So now we move on to the grant applications, and so firstly, the town council has a budget for this. Behind the report, which the Councillor Hunt is whispering 6,400. So I'm going to guess it's 6,400.
It can be more.
Turning to the item, and we have an application that are considerably in excess of that. So this committee has delegated powers to make awards up to 6,400. Anything beyond that will have to come out of the general reserves and will need to be in the form of a recommendation to full council. So we need to bear that in mind, and we should make reasonable efforts to stay within our budget. But as we've already heard, there are lots of excellent applications in front of us. We're a very diverse set of community groups. So we have to balance those two things. The way we usually do this is to go through each of the applications, discuss them reasonably briefly, and make suggestions about how sympathetic we are to some or all of the application. And then we do a second go where we actually resolve on the amount to be awarded. So let's start off with the so many pages to keep track of here. And right, okay. So let's start off with the Illuminated Boat Parade. We've heard. Who'd like to speak on this first?
I'll speak.
Catherine.
So I've got really good experience with the Henley Illuminated Boat Parade. I was very proud to be the mayor in 2022 and joined you as a judge. And the atmosphere was absolutely, let's say, electric. Very well lit. Yeah, it was a lot of good fun, raised a lot of money for charity, really kind of good, good feeling about it. And then last year, I was on the other side helping, raise the money, with the buckets going around all of the people that were watching. And so I got an even closer look at what was going on. And yeah, I just think it's a really good, fun, exciting, lovely event. And I just hope that it continues.
Else like to speak? Councillor Hunt. Oh, sorry, Councillor Plant, you were.
No, I was going to say fully in support of the event, but also you mentioned it's for sound systems. Sound systems is definitely something as a council we've supported for previous organisations, be it the Kenton and others. It's definitely something that in support of giving money towards, but also feel that organisations such as the Kenton just up the road from you and Hugh and people like that, we've got organisations in the town that already have a brilliant sound system, so I'm sure we can put some money towards it. But also we always encourage the town council pooling of resources, and such as when we support the women's regatta or other regattas in town, to share some of this electrical equipment going around. So as it gets used, put away for 11.5 months and then used again after that. So it's something that we'll both support but try and encourage to pool resources.
Thank you. Can I just respond?
This isn't really a place for interchange, but if you can make a short helpful contribution, I'll be flexible.
We don't do this for ourselves. We use the town resources. We use the exactly those people you mentioned, and for lighting as well. So we're pouring money back into the Henley community. Thank you for the point.
Councillor Hunt, I think you wanted to speak.
Thank you. I think this is an excellent event. I love the fact it's free to attend. I love the fact it gets people out in the open, enhances the quality of life in this town, brings people from outside of Henley into Henley, and is an excellent use of the river. I'm pleased to see that it's getting stronger and stronger, and I encourage council to support that.
I note that in the do the organisation's activities seek to make a positive impact? The comment is that we aim to use low energy and reduce our carbon footprint. I couldn't see any indication of what they're doing to that effect. And in many respects, if we're talking about a £2,500 grant, I would like to see something of that nature embodied in it.
Let's leave it up there for now. And there's a couple of points over to, and I always feel slightly guilty when an event which is popular, successful, and financially viable suffers in a sense by coming to us with an application for money, and then suggesting perhaps they don't really need it, even though I think the event is great. And I notice your finances are actually pretty good. You have an annual expenditure of 12,000, but you have assets of 15, and an income of 8. So I think you have a fair amount of assets already, and I think you are financially successful, and therefore the full amount might be something I would keep for the other applications, which might be in more danger of not happening if we didn't support them. But that's not to reduce my praise for the event, and it's the fact that it's a great asset to the town. Anyone else want to speak on this? Should we move on to the next item? The next application.
I do think the finance might need some clarification, because you said in the previous year, your assets were 8,000, income was 5,000, annual expenditure was 9,000, and yet the year after that, your assets have then grown by 7,000, even though it would seem from that there was a net loss of 4,000. So I don't know if other councillors if councillors have picked up on that, and that needs then clarification.
It might be a loose interpretation.
Actually, other well, no.
That's a question I can help.
Yeah, very quickly.
I think it's the difference between sort of current and capital expenditure. We've had to buy certain lighting things to illuminate the properties. This isn't the sort of thing we can hire from the theatre, for example. So each property has got at least one, if not two, illuminated things, which are in our possession. So technically, that's where the capital expenditure will have risen. So I think that's the distinction we're looking for.
Okay.
We're not squirreling stuff away for other uses.
No, I think people often keep a large float, and those sort of organisations are clearly more financially viable.
As leaders, we can work as hard as we can.
Let's move on to the next one, which is the Oxfordshire Play Association, who presented to us earlier. Councillor Thomas.
I don't think councillors will be surprised to hear that I absolutely adore this application. After children have been kept indoors for so many years through the pandemic, any chance to get them out and about, socialising, interacting, playing with each other, learning, is great. And of course, it's free to attend as well. This is going ahead in Henley, I believe. Is it for the first time?
Yes.
Yeah, and long may it continue. I really hope councillors will support it.
Definitely.
Councillor.
I echo a lot of the comments made by Councillor Thomas. I think this is an excellent idea, good event, very good chance to get children outside. My only question, this is the suitability of the site selected at Freedom's Meadows, that it's a long way from suitable parking and train station. Would perhaps the site be more suitable?
No. One of the things that's occurred to me when reading this application was that, like Councillor Thomas and Councillor Hunt, it's a great idea, and I'd really like to see it happen. Children need lots of support, and outdoor activities are increasingly less available to young people nowadays in many cases. And I'd like to, what I think I'll be suggesting is that we meet with your organisation and talk about the venue and whether or not it is suitable, and whether or not we can offer and work with you on a different venue, perhaps, Mill Meadows does spring to mind, and there may be others as well. That's absolutely not to say we don't want it to take place. I'd very much like to see it happen in the way you suggest. That the venue, I'd like reassurance that it is right. And so what we could do is defer it pending a further meeting with the organisation to go through, or either by email or face to face, to discuss the issues of the location. Any other comments on that application?
It's free use, so we can just agree it anyway. Sort of thing.
Yeah, I think we certainly want to engage with the organisation to reassure ourselves that best possible location was being chosen.
Yeah.
Henley Scouts.
Can I just clarify that, I believe the free use is separate from the request for funding.
Awesome.
Well, the two of them.
Yes.
Okay, Henley Scouts.
Fully in support.
Councillor Gubship.
Well, full support, we'll argue, about to say something rude then. We'll argue the, blah about the amount in a bit, but yeah, we have to support these.
Yeah.
This.
Yeah, times are hard for many parents of young children, and supporting those who have difficulty affording these, I think, is a good way, again, of meeting all the points that Councillor Thomas mentioned in the previous application. Councillor Hunt.
I would like to see some more details on such as how many children will this fund? Are they Henley residents? Will this funding ensure that all scouts that would like to go on this trip are able to do so? And also to encourage them to apply elsewhere and not just here for such funding. You or someone else who suggested that there was another.
Thanesfield.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Any more comments on the Scout application? Sorry.
As I'm Welsh, I'm familiar with St David's in West Wales. It is a long distance to travel. And therefore, perhaps if they would like to think about alternative locations, they would have less costs involved.
Yeah, that's possible. I hadn't realised you admitted to being Welsh before.
I am, and I support Wales every time they play rugby.
We all have our
To get that one in.
Anything more on the Scouts application? This might be another one that we defer pending further discussion, so that it would be an option to us. And that doesn't mean we're refusing. What it means is that we can discuss with them, and then at full council in 2 weeks, we can consider the application with the extra information that we need. Councillor Genshaw.
However, just to counteract the comment that Tony just made, we should be encouraging them to go to Wales to see the beautiful park of St David's. In fact, I would say that we shouldn't micromanage where they're going, and in fact, we should encourage them to go further afield. To Scotland next time and give the Scouts a real experience.
Do we wish to give them a grant for that purpose?
Sorry?
Do you wish to give them the grant for that purpose?
I want to give them the grant to do the experience. That's what I want.
Yeah, well, let's come back a little bit to
yes,
practicality.
So just one comment, Justin Fielder, the person applying on behalf of the Scouts, he sent his apologies, he couldn't make it, he's got food poisoning.
Okay, right, okay.
Well, not nice.
Just.
Okay, rather. South Oxfordshire Mencap Society, £800. This is for a disco. Any comments on that, Councillor Gubship?
Complete support, fantastic organisation, absolutely brilliant. I'm sure all councillors would echo.
We've supported this one for many years, and it does seem like a very worthwhile cause.
So well run.
Agreed.
Do you have a comment to make about it, Councillor Hunt?
Yes, my only comment is it would be good to see them apply elsewhere, because this is a very good cause, we should be supporting it, as should other organisations, councils.
Sure, they must.
Yeah, so when we reply to these organisations, sometimes we give advice or thoughts that have been spoken in committee by councillors on the application and ways in which they might look for alternative funds. Chiltern Arts. Any comments on Chiltern Arts?
I don't mind
Yeah.
speaking.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
again, another fantastic win for Henley, I would say. It's a very, very thorough application and it's got lots and lots of different parts to it, lots of different elements to it, all of which are very, very enticing and really, really well thought through. I don't like that word curated, but I think it sort of fits well with this one. And yes, again, thankfully, they want to bring it to Henley and they'd like to bring further arts to Henley in the future. So I would like to support this in some way.
Councillor.
What I'm not clear about is whether in fact the events they hold could be charged for. In other words, could there be encouraging people to pay to attend?
That would change the nature of the, but yes, would you like to briefly respond to that?
The events are chargeable. They are ticketed events for everyday audience. The grant is going towards our outreach project to work with schools to bring children into the events to allow access to cultural events.
Right, thanks. That was a very helpful answer.
Thank you.
Any more comments on those? Okay, let's move on to regards for the disabled. Councillor Rowlands.
I like the proposal. What I would like to see is a fully costed website.
Yeah, that was the point I made. We could ask to see that we could make the award or an award subject to sight of the quote. That would be a perfectly possible thing to do, just to satisfy ourselves that it was real. It's not. I'm sure that
Cynicism. Sure.
We want to make sure we're absolutely fair to everyone and everything is open and above board. So no aspersions at all on the nature of the organisation, which I know we all know is an excellent one. But yeah, we could attach that condition, and I think that would be sensible. We know that there is a quote. Councillor Caversham.
Brilliant organisation, we should fully support it. And if anyone's not been to it, go. It's brilliant.
It's very well spoken. Yes, many people. Sue Ryder. Councillor Caversham.
Well, I am going to strongly be recommending not to give any money to Sue Ryder. I will preface my remarks by saying that the care that Sue Ryder nurses and Sue Ryder doctors give through their home service and also through the 2 beds that Councillor Riceman and I secured at the Wallingford Hospital. And I speak from personal experience because a friend of mine died in there a couple of days ago. So the nurses and the doctors are absolutely fantastic. I do question actually the administration. And we've had a long conversation about the administration of the board of Sue Ryder. And also I would not be happy giving any money because they sold the site at Nettlebed for £20 million. And that money has gone into their general accounts and also being used to subsidise care homes hospice homes in the north of England. And I would ask them to actually provide some of that money to actually support palliative care in South Oxfordshire. And therefore I would not be in favour of giving any money to this as part of this particular grant. Also, it's such a small amount in a very large funded organisation. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, I'd like to echo all of those remarks by Councillor Caversham. We've worked together on the town steering group with many stakeholders, including Sue Ryder, and I completely echo the remarks about the nurses and the care given. But the standard of the administration has been disappointing in recent years. And the only point that I'd like to make you didn't, which is that we don't usually contribute to national charities. or national organisations. They're not, we really like to make sure that Henley residents themselves are directly benefiting as far as possible from the council taxpayers from Henley that we've paid. And I don't see a justification for this. And yes, they sold the Joyce Grove Nettlebed Hospice was donated by the Fleming family to the local area to provide hospice care. It was sold, and we haven't seen a hospice to replace it. And we have 140,000 people in South Oxfordshire and no hospice bed. But we did secure two sometime after, which was nothing to do with Sue Ryder. They were going to leave us with nothing. Whereas in Maidenhead, just down the road, we have a new 35-bed hospice which opened just a few years ago. We are the poor relations here, and we I think deserve better treatment.
Yeah.
Are there any other comments on? Doesn't sound that it's may well not be successful. Lowland Rescue Oxfordshire. Comments on that?
Yeah, I think fully in support.
Councillor Hoskins.
The question I've got is how many local volunteers are going to benefit from this radio communications? And I'm not certain how many people work within the area.
If I answer that.
Yeah, please do.
I'm Alex Bradbury. I live in Shiplake. I'm obviously one of their volunteers. Within the Henley area, we have about 10% of Lowland Rescue Oxfordshire actually live in the Henley area, and obviously would benefit. I don't know whether you've had a chance to look, but about a third of our operations are associated with the river. Not all in Henley, obviously across Oxfordshire, but since 2020 we've had 29, and I think that's actually been extended since I've actually written this application. We were in Shiplake a week or so ago. So we are very, and with the flooding situation, which is abundantly clear to everybody in this area at the minute, we are very much operational with volunteers, and also sadly with the missing people that are inevitably where we go and look for.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Gabsher.
I know the police, OCC and SABC speak very highly of you. And as a sort of a semi-computer geek, your algorithm for predicting where somebody might be found is absolutely stunning. And I haven't had personal experience of it, but I know it works. So, well done. Thank you.
Councillor Hunt.
This is an excellent application. It's very well written. It's specifically costed with tangible things that are going to be bought. It's absolutely serving an increasing need, and in doing so, this could help save lives. So I think we should fully support this application.
Yeah, I'd like to echo that. It was very well completed application. So thank you for doing that. That's very helpful for us. And yeah, I echo all the comments about the importance of this this service. So Henley Town Football Club. Councillor Gabsher.
Well, I think we should support our local football club, as we have supported the rugby club, the cricket club, and others in the past. We'll argue about the amount a bit later, but yes, fully supported with this application. Yes.
How much are they actually asking for? I can't see on the
2,500.
It wasn't filled in on the floor.
Not.
No, they need filling that on the form, but they confirm it's 2,500.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
You put that on the list in your report,
Yes.
but yeah, okay, thank you for that. Any other comments on Henley Town? It is one of our key sporting organisations in the town. We've provided support to the cricket club, to Isle Float Centre, to the and to a rugby club and other organisations in the town, and the Henley Town Football Club are one of those. They're not quite as successful as one or two of the others, but they do provide a sporting interest for people to both play and watch. And this is about helping the spectators, but also making it more attractive as a venue so people come and watch them. Okay, so lastly, we have the Henley Symphony Orchestra. I'd like to speak on this one. Let's go, Sean.
Again, we should be supporting the cultural organisations of the town. We have in the past supported the Henley Symphony Orchestra, and a contribution should be made.
Yep.
So again, we'll argue about the amount.
And like other applications, this is designed to help those who have difficulty affording access to what Symphony Orchestra do. And so it is again, it's a good use of our resources, I think.
It might be worth clarifying that. It's an application because the Henley Society want to make 40 concert tickets freely available to people who can't afford it.
Yeah. So it's to help. So it's not provide free tickets or reduced price tickets.
Wider access.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think it's actually 40 plus their supporters. And actually, I agree that this is a worthy project. I question whether, in fact, we need to provide that many tickets in this case.
I think it may be that we don't fully fund the application as granted, but the principle seems a good one. So they provide some improved access for those who are having financial difficulties, as many people are.
We have got a list here of identified groups: Headway, Cherry Tree Centre, Riverside Counselling Service, Henley Rethink, Friends and Family Empowerment Group.
That's all very well, but still, is it right to give 40 plus?
We'll discuss it in 10 minutes.
Well, people can form their own views on the value of it. I'm just echoing one of Councillor Gabishak's remarks. For many years, we were perhaps funded more towards sports clubs than the arts, and I think in recent years, we have managed to provide more money to the arts and the Choral Society and so on. And we were discussing the children arts again. We have had a more balanced approach in recent years, and it's good to see that we can do that. And I'd like to maintain that balance between the whole range of activities in the town, but especially the arts, which I think a few years ago we got fewer applications for, and it's nice to see them coming forward. Okay, so we've had a first pass through. So, sorry, Councillor Gabishak.
Chair, it might be worth before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of the funding to remind us about the amount that we have on offer, because it may well be that members of the audience or people online might actually say, well, they're being a bit tight. Well, we're being a bit tight because we haven't got shekels of money to give out, so we have to be extremely careful in the way that we do it.
So the accountant will keep score. She starts off with 6,400, I think, and we have 16,000 applications. So that's less than half that we are able to fund out of our budget. As I said, we are able to go beyond our budget in the form of a recommendation, but as you will see in the further papers, we are already 50,000 in deficit this year, having budgeted for a very small surplus. So if we do that 12,000, we will increase our deficit to 62,000, and that will have to come out of our general reserve. So we should bear that in mind. Having said that, I'd like to praise the quality of the applications that we've got in front of us, and it's one of the harder choices we've had to make. In recent years, we've had fewer applications because of COVID and so on, and events haven't been able to take place. This is a very full set, and I'd like to thank everyone who's come forward with these applications, which are excellent. Okay, I'll look for proposals for amounts, and now as there's no part of discussion going through one by one. We'll go through them in order, although that does slightly act as in favour of those who happen to be first. I'm not sure how the accountant does put the order in. Maybe it's in order received.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we should bear in mind at each point how far we've got in the way of the 6,400 that remain. So let's go with the illuminated boat parade. Starting with that council plant, is that
Yeah, fully support. I think it's a brilliant event. We'll be attending again this year with the local dragon voters. Hopefully we can win. But given the current state of affairs, I think what best we could probably look at in the budget is half, so 1250 would be what I would go for. Fully agree that might not be with everyone, but I think it's a good starting point.
I'd second that.
personally, I think that's a bit of a stretch, so I've reduced that a bit, but I'm happy to for us to vote on that. Does anyone want to comment?
Well, I'd make a comment that, in fact, 1,200 out of the 6,000 is a lot of money. So I would be pitching around about 750, 800 mark rather than the 1,200.
That was my sort of thinking, but
So
I'm happy that it goes to vote for 1250 and the councillors can make up their own mind.
That's what we did award last year. I don't think that's right, though. I think
It's just $2,500 in 2022.
To the vote, yeah, £1,250.
Right. So it's half what was applied for last year. We gave half.
Well, I only know that they were given 1,250. I don't actually have the application.
Well, it says on the application, bottom of page 64, it's $2,500. I presume that was pounds. In 2022. But we may have given 1,250 last year. Yeah. So that's the record that we have. And as I say, in previous years, we have been less oversubscribed than this application. This takes us back to 5 or 6 years ago, and we were regularly up against the limit. Very difficult. Councillor Hoskins.
May I suggest that instead of going through one by one, we should identify which are the ones that we want to focus on first of all?
Want to eliminate them, maybe?
Well, we're eliminating C Rider, which is 2.5. So even if we give each application ballpark half, subtract 2.5, we're actually pretty close to budget.
So potentially right now, that'll be the amount that is exactly below the budget.
Yeah, we're not far off budget.
I think we should go ahead, vote on, sorry, Chair, through you. Yeah, vote on the amounts, come to it. It doesn't negate that at the end of the process, we might want to come back and actually re-vote on some things. So I think we just go down the list quickly and do it thoroughly, but we've got 1,250 on the table at the moment.
Yeah.
If that fails, we'll come out with another.
We've tried many different ways, but we've stuck with this in recent years, and it's not perfect, but it is. It's been shown to work reasonably well. So, Councillor Plant, were you going to?
Yeah, I was going to sum up on that. I think 1,250. You're right. Given what we have left is a stretch, but numerically, more people probably attend that one event. It's only been around for 2 years than most of the events on the list, and it's been set up completely as the goodwill of a few Henley residents. And I think we should stick behind it. Admittedly, if we need to come down a couple £100, fine, but I'm going to float 1,250 and see where we go on that one. Have a seconder. Hopefully the councils will support it. If we remove one of the large applications locally, we're not far off budget. So I think we should consider it.
Thank you. Okay, so we have a proposal for 1,250. All those in favour? Oh, sorry, vote for that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. I could choose my second casting vote in the successive meetings. I'm going to vote against that, and I'm going to propose 750 from the chair.
I'll second that.
Councillor Rowland seconded. So I don't disagree with any Councillor Plant's comments or about the event at all. Okay, so we have a proposal of 750. All those in favour of that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Those against? 1, 2, 3, 4. My casting vote comes in again. So I'm going to vote in favour of the casting vote in favour of 750.
Well, you're not going to do the Tom Buck.
No, I didn't think about that. The next one is the Oxfordshire Play event.
Further information.
Yeah, I'd like to second that. I think so. It's absolutely not a reflection on the quality of the application, on the principle of it, but I think it's one where we can work with the organisers and the financiers will, I hope, follow on from that. And very much hope and expect that we will come to an arrangement where we help to fund the the event and that it takes place. So, that's the proposal, councillor. I'm sorry, not councillor.
For the benefit of Mercedes who'd be contacting them, what further information would you be looking for?
The venue in particular.
Yes, suitability of the site selected. How many people they're expected to have, what provision they're making for transport arrangements, given the site they've chosen, potential damage to the site from equipment to lose, etc.
Does it have toilets there?
That was in the proposal.
They were going to hard look.
Right.
I think that this is a very reasonable, sensible step for us to take.
It must happen.
Yeah.
Must happen in the right.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe they can reassure us that they have plans for treatment. And if not, we do have alternatives that we.
Yeah,
can
they might not be aware of what's suitable. I think we're fully behind it. They just might not be aware that, say, Mill and Marshmallows with the toilets and the facilities and the cafe at the River Row Museum might be a suitable alternative with free parking.
Exactly. And if we can meet with them before full council, maybe that we can amend this proposal back to.
Perhaps some councillors who sit on RNA would be able to assist. Perhaps one from RNA, one from town community, maybe.
Yeah, it might be the River. It might be the River Row actually want to help out as well. With toilets and cafe.
Let's not speculate too much. I think we have a set of items that we want to discuss with them that we'd like to help them resolve. Okay, so we have a proposal that we defer. All those in favour? It's carried. Scouts. So this is to subsidise the trip to Councillor Hoskins' homeland. So, Councillor Plant, I'll come to you.
No, yeah, fully in favour of it, but without reiterating sort of what I was saying. Clearly, I was too generous earlier. So, given the mood of the council, 600.
Councillor Clark, I was going to suggest 1,000.
I would have
You
gone
want
for
to
1,000. Yeah, I'll go for 1,000.
Go for 1,000. Yeah. And see whether it falls or as it lays.
Okay, so we have.
Can I just clarify? Are you proposing that they, for the remainder of the money, they go to another organisation? Is that what you're proposing?
We are giving £1,000, and if they're short and it doesn't go ahead, or they have to make up the 800 quid that they.
Well, they pass subsidies.
Yeah, they go to other organisations if they want to. Well, it's for them to do it, not for us.
Yeah, there are times we make an award and it doesn't fully fund the application as made, and the event can't take place. And that does happen sometimes, and they can't. And the grant is withdrawn, the grant, and they may come back in future. I very much hope that doesn't happen. I wouldn't see that as being a risk here. Because if we're giving more than half, then they're still going to get at least half subsidised, and they possibly have resources and other access to other funds which would help to make up the difference.
Can we recommend the organisations that could possibly help make up the difference then?
Educational trust.
There's Thamesfield.
Yeah, Thamesfield. There are a number of others.
So there's some others as well, but yeah.
Yeah, that's always helpful. When we write back, we always try and give them advice if we haven't.
Council grant.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As new like businesses.
So we have a proposal and a seconder for 1,000 for the Scouts. Councillor Hoskins,
No.
Is that an attempt to vote or attempt to speak?
No, I was actually.
So you were late last time. No, you were.
Shut up. Sorry, could I just chop him in the neck? I was seconding it. Don't worry about it.
Okay, right. So all in favour of the proposal of 1,000. Okay. How far have we got now, voting?
So.
And we also strongly suggest
I think,
that Councillor Hoskins goes with them so that they know where it is.
You have to pay it own way.
Yeah, he will have to pay his own way, absolutely.
Okay, Medcaps. This is Fund the Disco. I'd like to propose. Well, go on. I'll let someone else do it. Who hasn't proposed anything so far? Come on, it's always been
Full amount.
fantastic. Councillor Hoskins, you're
Full
proposing
amount.
about, and someone can fight over a second, the council plan can do these.
I'll
Yeah, okay. Right. So, and we would ask them to try and look for funds elsewhere, because, you know, our funds are tight. And, but it is such an excellent event that we still want to fund it for it. But this time around, but mine has always been easy for us. So all's in favour of that proposal fully funding. Okay, thank you. Chiltern Arts. My original thoughts on this were to provide something less than I've been asking for, but I thought it was a very good presentation, and the answer on what the funds are actually being used for convinced me that we should consider fully funding it. This is providing young people's access to art, and I'm tempted to suggest the full 1,000. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I'll second that. I mean, everybody knows the situation with our education system here in the UK is, you know, it's been defunded over the austerity years, and so it's really essential that as many people as possible have access to the arts as possible. So I think it's a great application.
The arts tended to be a soft target in recent years as government and council funding has dried up in many areas, and yeah, I think there's a useful gap for us to fill. It's directed at Henley. It's about young people. It's an excellent application in my view.
There's a huge campaign nationally to make sure that schools, the government starts focusing on STEAM, not just STEM, but STEAM, so you get the arts in there as well. And I think that's a campaign that seems to, you know, be gaining a lot of weight in recent years.
The arts is a great revenue earner for this country, and the fact that we've not been funding it properly, but we're digressing into national politics. I shouldn't really start anything in this area.
Be here all night.
But so we have a proposal for the fully funding it for 1,000. It's been seconded. All's in favour of that proposal? Okay. Regatta for the disabled. Councillor Gavish.
I would propose the full amount, you know, subject to the details of the website coming over. But I think we should just issue the amount, and it's a fantastic organisation and should be absolutely fully supported. So therefore, I am proposing £1,500.
Are you seconding that, Councillor?
Yeah. I agree the sentiment about the receipt for the website, but I mean, we don't ask too many of them for receipts for ticket sales and everything else that they go towards. So I appreciate the cynicism, but I trust them to spend it wisely.
We have asked for that in the past, and I think it's not a bad thing to do, particularly something which is such a commodity item nowadays. A website.
I'm surprised they can get one so inexpensive.
I made a note to myself that they have quite a fair number of funds, and but given that we are, as Councillor Hunter's just whispered in my ear, not going to hit our budget, I'm feeling that we should reduce that somewhat.
Yeah.
Because we have made other reductions in the application, so I don't think I'm going to support the full amount. Valuable as I've got huge respect for the disabled, but I don't think that. One of the key factors that I take into account is whether or not the organisation will be to go ahead with its proposals if we part fund or don't fund things. And I think that they will continue to be successful as they have been, but we can show our support by perhaps doing 50%. That would be my inclination.
That's proposal, I'd say.
I think we've got an alternative proposal already, so you that's going to vote on that.
Put it to the vote, and then if it falls.
So the full amount is where's it gone? Yeah, 1,500. So we have a proposal for that. Let's vote on that. Okay, all those in favour of 1,500. So that's 1, 2, 3. Those against. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we'll make an alternative.
I'd like to propose 50%. It is an excellent organisation, but I do think, as we've made, have to take some sensible decisions here. A contribution is appropriate, but not for that.
Yeah, I'll second 750. Does anyone want to speak to that? Okay, all those in favour of that proposal? That's carried. Sue Ryder, palliative care hub.
Zero.
Councillor Gobisher, would you like to make a proposal?
Proposal was zero.
Yeah, I second that. Are there any discussions on that?
Send them a well-worded letter.
Not without some regrets, but it is most definitely the right decision. Okay, all those in favour of no award? Okay, thank you. Lowland Rescue Oxfordshire. There's strong support for this one.
I'd like to propose the full amount. This is something that could potentially save a life, as I said. That is key, these people volunteering their time, putting themselves in danger, the least we can do is support them with the equipment they have.
Thank you for all you do, yeah.
Yeah, there's these literally saving lives. So do a second of fully funding the proposal. Councillor Romans. How far have we got?
So now we are £400 over.
Okay, so
If you,
Well, £398.
I did wonder whether I should run or not. Yeah,
So
398.
at this point, any vote we take becomes a recommendation for council.
Yeah.
So I don't think the full council have much difficulty with this one.
No.
So all's in favour of the proposal. Okay, thank you. Henley Town Football Club. I'd like to speak to them. Check my notes again.
Fully in support, but just maybe not as the full amount.
Yeah, that was my feeling that
Happy around the 1,000 or 1,250 mark or something like that. If anyone wished to guide from half to 1,000.
1250.
Fine. Half.
yeah, that sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah.
Any further comments? All those in, sorry, Councillor.
Can I just, Sean, ask councillors if we're being actually consistent with our help for other sporting clubs in Henley?
They all come in with such various applications too, and we have to separate obviously applications from loans, which we obviously do differently.
We have loaned money to the football club. I think we still have a loan outstanding.
Yeah. It just sounded similar to the grant that we gave to the netball club for their lighting, or slightly in line with that last time.
We've given money to the women's regatta. We've given significant amounts of money to the football, well, to the rugby
No, the
club, to the
proportion.
cricket club.
Is it 50%, 100%? I just want to make sure that we're being consistent with our decisions here. I suppose we have that information to hand, do we?
Like for like isn't always easily measurable anyway. So I think you're right in principle. And at this point, we tend to have to make pragmatic and somewhat ad hoc decisions. I'm
trying to rack my brains with what we did with the decision in September with the lighting one. Dennis.
We got to half, it's netball.
Netball, was it?
Yeah, went half to that. It was Juliet mentioned.
Yeah, I think it's a bit more than this, though. I think it's that was the larger grants. But the principle, same principle, fine. I think we part funded to a significant amount, but not wholly, I think. But it might be worth sort of trying to remember these things for future reference. The point's well made. I don't disagree with you. Councillor Gosher.
The Councillor Thomas makes an excellent point, but I will direct you towards the cricket club, who actually come to us for small grants, but also then apply to district councillors and county councillors for grants as well. We're dealing with a small amount of money here. It's not a huge amount like a loan to the Kenton Theatre or the rugby club. So therefore, I think giving 50% of it is perfectly reasonable, because there are other sources of funding available.
Yeah, and it's also to provide insulation, I think, was part of it. So we talk about carbon footprints here. So it is something that fits in with our higher level of strategies as well.
Yeah, that's another good point.
Yeah.
And there is also an opportunity of making a presentation to the Climate Emergency Working Group, because they have some funding to actually give grants specifically for carbon.
That's a good point.
Carbon footprint.
Yeah.
So I think 50%, 1250 is perfectly reasonable.
But with some useful advice about where to go next.
Yes,
Because we would not want them to stop this project because we haven't fully funded it.
yeah. Yeah,
That'd be okay.
We should create a useful grants page on our website. Council Grants, County Council Grants.
Yeah, so they should specifically come back to the climate emergency working group as well.
Saves us right.
They've got a small fund that they can use as well.
yes, okay. Okay, so we have a proposal for 1250. Let's vote on that. All those in favour of 1250? Okay. Lastly, the Henley Symphony Orchestra, 1600. Councillor Plant, Councillor Carashak, and you seem to be the most enthusiastic proposers.
I love the sentiment behind this one. I think it's brilliant. I also think, in a constructive manner, not in a critical manner, that I think some of these tickets would be easily funded by local companies, with a few direct phone calls. Like, and as a small business myself, I'd happily buy a handful of tickets so that others could go. So again, I'd go somewhere in the 800 to the £1,000 mark for this one. Support the full effort, and then maybe we can use Daisy on our own social media to maybe draw out some local businesses that may wish to buy the other tickets and become a supporter or a donator of tickets themselves. They'll get all sorts of tax offsets against it, etc. So I know it's not the full amount, but it's a constructive way of doing something.
Councillor Gavin.
I would just say, to be fair, I'd head towards the 800 mark, so that's a 50%, I'd rather like, not much,
Yeah.
So, if you,
yep,
I'll second that.
That sounds reasonable to me. We're very lucky to have a symphony orchestra in Henley, a very good one as well. We're slightly unlucky in that we don't have a great venue for them to play, so they are playing at the Hexagon. I think it's either Sunday or a week on Sunday. I can't remember which. But yeah, I do like the fact that we support a range of organisations, including the arts, from this council. So I'm going to support the 800. Okay, so we've had a proposal. Second, all those in favour of 800? Okay. Councillor Hunt, I think you've got a scoreboard next to me here.
I have, and just looking through the decisions we've made, we funded every one that we've decided to fund over at 50% or over. So I would, with your leave, like to revisit the illuminated boat parade and suggest we go back to the 1250. So we've already gone over budget. It is not an enormous amount of money extra. So I would like to repropose 1250 if that is the thing to do.
Yes.
Could we check where we're at? Because I think we're about 9,800.
With 2,448 over the budget, or 8,848 approved.
Is that including Oxfordshire Pay Association?
No, it's not at the moment.
So we need to add that in as well.
So if we add that in an extra 1,000, then we're at 9,848 or 3,448 over.
Yeah.
Oxford plays 2,000.
If we give
50%, which
we may give more, but if we give 50%, then we'd be 9 and a bit, we'd be 10 and a bit with the full award.
Yeah.
Which would be something that we probably want to consider.
Yeah.
I agree. However, those are the facts in front of us and what we decided so far. I don't disagree with Councillor Hunt's point. I think, bearing in mind Councillor Thomas's point about fairness, is we can try and be fair across the application in front of us tonight. And the award to the illuminated boat parade looks slightly anomalous.
Also, this is one of the more pleasurable things we get to do as a council. Spread some.
It is, yeah.
I'd go for it. I mean, it was my original proposal.
Would you like to propose that we reconsider the award?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
Go on.
And Councillor Gavin, I've got a second on that. All in favour of that proposal? Okay, thank you. Right, so we have gone over that raises the slightly interesting point of which ones are recommendations now and which ones are resolutions.
The whole would be because you've gone over the budget, you can't say which ones.
Cherry pick which ones.
We have done in the past. We have, yeah. However, I think you're right that it would be it would be a bit odd that it would also be potentially influenced by the arbitrary order fairly arbitrary order they come in. So I said that it's all, I'd agree with your recommendations, particularly as some of them were not 2/3 majority.
Exactly.
So there was that complication as well. So yes, those will all be recommendations to full council. Full council will consider them on March the 19th, 2 weeks' time, and you're welcome to come and present in the same way you did tonight, listen to the debate in the same way on that date. It'll all be in here. So that's the end of this item. Thank you very much for your applications, your attendance, and most of all, what you do for the town. As Councillor Plum was saying, this is a very pleasant thing for us to do, because we see all the things that happen in the town, excellent things happening, and people coming along and giving their time and energy and thoughts into making the town a better place and for everyone.
Chair.
So thank you very much. Yeah, okay, Stefan, you can speak now.
It may well be that next year we will have an easier job. And I am unaccustomed as I am to blowing Councillor Arlett, Councillor Hinton, my trumpet, because I am going to blow it at full council. We have managed to get £60,000 into the SODC budget for the performing arts. So therefore, that will be a grant fund for £60,000 for this year, for next year, and the year after. So a total of 180,000.
That is brilliant.
So therefore, funding, for example, the Henley Symphony Orchestra can head towards that direction, and Chiltern Arts can as well.
Yeah.
So it's going to be good news for the arts in South Oxfordshire. And thank you to our Liberal colleagues for accommodating that. Thank you.
So that will be awarded by the district council, though.
Yes.
But it would mean that there'll be less of a gap for us to fill.
Yeah.
And
Because we can point the performing arts in that direction.
yeah, I think there's no doubt this is correcting a long-standing deficit in the investment in that we've had from the district council. Anyway, that's a separate matter. Thank you for telling us that. I didn't know that. Okay, so let's move on to the.
Could I just double check the amounts? Illuminated Boat Parade 1,250.
Yes.
Scouts 1,000. Maycap 800. Chiltern Arts 1,045. We got to the table 750. Odin Rescue 2,453. Henley Town Football Club 1,250. And Henley Symphony Orchestra 800. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. The audience. You're welcome to stay for as long as you like, or if you'd like to go and spend the evening in a way that's more to your choice. Feel free to.
Joe, thank you for your consideration. I'll leave some details of what Chiltern Arts is planning to do.
Great, that'd be really helpful. Thank you. We'll put them in the one-stop shop.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right. Item number 4. Oh, 4 done. 5 minutes. 5 finance. I think let's do 5 finance. So to receive the management accounts, bank reconciliation, and summary of payments. Did you want to say about that? Have you already talked to the? Yeah, we'll do it. There were a few questions that might have queries. Yeah. So can I have a proposal that we receive all those unless there are any more questions? Councillor Plant, Councillor Romans, all's in favour? Okay, thank you. Item number 6, expenditure. Now, it's worth noting for these that A, C and E are all reports that are on the agenda which have been to previous committees. And we are discussing here the financial side of it, not the merits of in the example of A, the resurfacing proposal itself. Whether it's necessary and how we do it. So we should avoid going into just a re-debate of what RNA in the committee decided. So we approval for the 17,130 for the resurfacing of the Mill Meadows Toddler Playground. Another proposal, Councillor Hoskins, I think you proposed. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Councillor Hunt. Yep. Are there any comments on that? It seemed pretty straightforward to me. We need to do it. All in favour of that proposal? Okay, thank you. We would now have a verbal report on the licence fee for the car club parking space. Is that you, Town Clerk?
I believe we do have the deputy clerk.
Yes, sir. Would you like to join us at the table? Councillor?
Does anyone know how much silver we currently have?
It's on the agenda, isn't it? What do we? I think it's
Within item 5.
yeah, we just approved it.
I could search. I'm lazy.
It is
75,728.
Yeah, we're getting through it.
Yeah, it used to be a figure that were like, we'll never spend.
Yeah, we are getting through it, and it's a bit of a side.
Absolutely. Thanks mainly to Kat.
Yeah.
Well done. My best.
Kathy, you've got a report on the car club.
Yes, so this went to RNA back in January, and was recommended to come through to Finance Committee. As you are probably all aware, there are 2 car club cars, hybrid cars, no, 3 cars, no, 2 hybrids and 1 electric car club car in Henley. We had hoped with the review of parking spaces that we could get a space on outside pavilion for the car club car, but OCC decided that that wasn't a suitable place, that we wouldn't have had to pay to have a space. So this one is Upper Marketplace, normally a space that would be allocated to a resident parking, and hence the cost of £1,341, which is what we'd be receiving in rent if it were to.
So it's lost income.
Sorry?
It's lost income.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. So I think unless anyone got any queries about what the car club is and how it works, then this seems to me a very sensible thing to do. It's been part of our strategy for some years now, and it's been very successful actually. The car club. The only question I'd ask is, when are we going to get fully electric, or fully sustainable?
We need the electric charging points to be able to do that, so we need to identify them.
So I propose therefore that we approve this cost. Second for that, Councillor Hoskins. Any comments?
Rory's not going to drive when he's mayor, so we could give him that space. You only live 100 yards away.
Well, the space is there now, Kelly.
Yeah, exactly.
So she used.
Maybe we should just abolish the mayor's space.
I should give it to. Oh, right.
We all live in.
I thought anyway. Right, I digress. Right, okay. There was a previous mayor who raffled it off.
Yeah.
The space.
You should be named.
No, well, maybe I should have said that.
The Green Party.
I believe it was
Okay, we have a proposal. All those in favour? Right, thank you. So next, 5,612 for the feasibility study of on Makin's car park. And this is to look at how we deal with the problems that there are a number of different groups of people using that, those who are entitled to, such as the Scouts who have designated places, and those who haven't, such as parents going to Sacred Heart School. And there is a problem there that we've identified, and we're looking at whether or not we should work on a solution or just leave the situation as it currently is, the status quo, which doesn't seem to, has been decided may not be satisfactory. So, Councillor Thomas, I'll come to you first. Then
the main bugbear, as far as I can make out from what I've read, is that it's the parents that are causing the issues. And it's very, very difficult to put any sort of enforcement on that. Even if you say, right, this parking space is designated to Scouts, this is designated to Midway, parents are just going to ignore that, and they'll just say, I'm only here for 5 minutes. And it's just not enforceable unless you get a certain parking solutions company involved.
It may, well, this is presumably one option.
And then that's too heavy-handed and.
Heavy-handed?
Yeah.
No.
So, well, just I'll come back to you soon. So, just to be clear, we're not making a decision here on.
No, I realise that, but I'm wondering if it's worth doing a feasibility study if all the recommendations are going to be something that is unpalatable for us all.
Well, that may turn out to be the case, but if there is no, we shouldn't go ahead if we never do anything other than maintain the status quo. But I think we do have a problem. We would like to see if there are options for dealing with it. And this is a proposal that we investigate those options. It's not a commitment to doing a specific thing.
No,
or
I
anything at
realise
all.
that, but I'm just like, you know, when it comes to parents and their kids, it's just like tunnel vision, you know, and it's just.
I don't disagree with your point. I think Councillor Hossop's next, and then I'll come on to you, Stefan. Okay.
Yeah, I know this car park primarily because walking my dog around there, and I went to see it 2 days ago. I don't think there's two elements to it. One is resurfacing and then formalisation. I don't think it requires resurfacing. And I'm not certain who's suggesting that. It doesn't appear to be coming strongly in the presentation. And therefore, I think we need to think about whether resurfacing is part of the project or whether it's just formalisation. If it's formalisation, then it should be probably lower.
We're not mandating or we're ruling in or ruling out anything at this point. The idea is that we examine all the options and then make a decision based on information and costing. And I know there's people who want something. I've waited patiently for a while.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I'm going to get told off. Sorry, so I'll apologise in advance. You did say at the beginning of this item that we are not discussing merits or otherwise of the issue because RNA have already debated, discussed all the merits and the whatever. This is a sum of money to do a feasibility study, and it will be debated at RNA. And if there are unpalatable issues that the feasibility study throws up, then it has to be debated at RNA. And then it will be debated at full council in the fullness of time. So I propose that we allocate £5,612 for the feasibility study.
Right. Do I have a second for that? I'll let you speak in a moment. Town Clerk wants to speak. And okay. Councillor Hutton.
I think it's right that we look at all the options open to us before we make a final decision. So if we resolve that we want to do something about this, this is a necessary step. It was fully debated at Stefan said, so I think we should pass this through.
Yeah, I will make the point that sometimes parking solutions are solutions looking for problems, but there is a problem here, and I think it's right that we consider our options. And RNA, we shouldn't be second guessing RNA. In this case, we will need to make an informed choice when the options are outlined. Councillor Plan, did you have one last thing to say?
Yeah, and it's slightly in contrast to what we've just said. It's like I'm just blown away about costing £5,000 to look at such a small space and see what may be viable. I cannot believe that a small committee can't, with a sheet of paper and a space, think, well, if we do this, we generate that, and if we do this, we generate this, and this is viable or that's not viable. It's like it's complete overspend or something that may not lead to any solution. I agree with the merits, but we're not exactly flush with cash, and I cannot believe that committees such as RNA can't come back with a more practical solution first before spending £5,500 to task it to an outside organisation.
I would say that the potential solutions could be in the regions of tens to hundreds of thousands of pounds.
Yep.
And without having some robust professional advice behind that, then I don't think we could possibly look at solutions that would cost tens or hundreds of thousands of pounds without knowing that they're actually going to be effective and achieve what we need them to achieve.
But I think that comes back to Tony's point, if I may answer it. Like, if we're going to decide that we don't wish to spend 20, 30, 40 or anything north of that, then why are we even investigating options that might? Why aren't we just ruling some bits like that out to start with, figuring out the mission statement of what we're actually trying to solve here and doing it that way, rather than just, I mean, I can see this being £5,000 spent to come back with a bunch of things that we're not going to do any of it.
I'm not.
Well, sorry, I'm being very.
I share some of that.
I just struggled with it a little bit.
But we also don't know what the cost would be.
Yep.
And we would need professional support to know what the cost would be, whether or not it would require resurfacing or not resurfacing, whether or not it could be achieved without doing that, and what the different options.
It's worth noting that our car park at Mill Meadows has also money. And that might be something that could be included in the options that the report concludes. It might actually earn us money in the long term.
Well, the Ribbon Row Museum car park is a similar surface to this one, works particularly fine. It's got a different method of control, but I mean, yeah, it's just fine. We'll go ahead, but I think I've got reservations.
The costs may not be as great, and they may be offset by income gains in the long term. And so, although I share your concern that we get a report back and the status quo is one option, and the other 4 options are unfeasible, and we've wasted £5,000. I'm not without those concerns, but I'm going to vote that we go ahead with this nonetheless, despite the fact that I have some sympathy for your point of view. I shall be unhappy if we then decide to do nothing. But well, it's. I think it's a sensible thing to do, because we have a problem there, and it's up to us to try and enable the different people who use that facility, whether it's parents, school children, scouts, or Headway. They all deserve some consideration on making sure that their use of that space is made smoother. Okay, so we have a proposal that we go ahead with this. Ready to vote? All those in favour? Okay, thank you. A new town medal honours board. We have a verbal report. I presume it's full. I didn't meant to look at it on the way in, and I didn't. Okay, right. We had about 2 names a year. On average, seems to me. They have been exceptional years. Which, I won't comment on those. I propose we go ahead with this. Second,
yeah, pretty straightforward.
Anyone want to comment or speak otherwise? All in favour? And lastly, the chalet huts for the Christmas market. This was considered at town community last week. I did raise a legal query with the town clerk, who has assured me that this is a proper use of our expenditure, and it seems like it's a well worth experiment that our town centre manager has put forward. As a plan, so you can propose that we do this?
Yeah, I think it's great. The town council staff, and all of those that took part did a fantastic job this year. And I think this will be another thing building on the strength of that. I think it's wonderful, really strong.
Yeah, the Christmas festival last year was very well received, and this continues to add to the attractions of the town. That's our idea.
Whichever ourselves in.
Okay, so anyone wants to comment on that further? All those in favour of that proposal? Okay, thank you. Right, item 7 we have done. Item 8, exclusion of public and press. So we now I propose that the public and press be excluded from the remainder of the meeting in the Public Bodies Admission to Meetings Act 1960, publicity with prejudice or public interest by reason of the confidential nature of the business. I so move.